Yegi here. Welcome back to my channel. For today's tutorial, we're gonna do a glamorous witch look for our Halloween inspo. So here's a little sneak peek. I hope you guys enjoy it. Here is the final look of what our Halloween inspo, a glamorous witch look, is going to look like. We layered out the bottom layer and decided to add some of our signature green and purple easy fanning volume lashes. For the rest of the layers, we decided to add our regular black mega volume eyelashes, but what we did different was use a couple of inches longer lengths than the bottom layer in order to create a wispier look. We added the purple ones in the inner corners and the green ones in the outer corners, and in the center where they meshed together, we mixed in some purples and greens. And here is the detailed mapping of where you guys can see exactly what length we put where and what tools and supplies we used for this full set. Here we have her before eyelashes, and she has a nice bare face. We always want to advise our clients to come in with no makeup. It is much easier to work on the eyelash area with zero foundation. However, if they must, we at least tell them to make sure to not wear any makeup on or around the eyes. And I'm making a mental note that they are kind of straight, so I may need to use some tape to lift them up to make my life easier during the application process. First thing we're going to do is we're going to use our lash foam cleanser in order to cleanse her eyelashes and get them ready for application. Now this step is very important, so either you do it while they're laying down or send them to the bathroom to cleanse their eyelashes themselves to make sure that even if there's no makeup, there's no extra residue, natural body oils, or anything that can get in your way of your retention. Now after I cleanse, I make sure I go ahead and brush them up as much as I can and dry them, almost kind of like blow drying them so they can sit as straight as possible, again to make my life easier when I'm going to go ahead and apply the lashes. Next thing I'm going to do is use the under eye patch to mainly protect the bottom skin of her eyes and tape down the bottom eyelashes to make sure that they are not going to get in my way of applying the extensions. I still like to use 2 layers of white tape and 1 layer of clear tape. I do sometimes like to use the sensitive tape as well if it goes directly on the skin, but again, my preference I think will always be going back to the 2 layers of white, 1 layer of clear, and it's because it gives me a really nice white foundation and contrast against the natural lashes, so I can do as clean, as precise work as possible. Now I'm going to use the Yegi primer, and again it is super important because it balances the pH, makes it exactly ready for the adhesive to attach and work properly, and again extend our retention with the extensions. So don't skip this step. I heard people skip primer steps, but maybe they haven't used a good primer in their process and it hasn't worked for them. But if you have a good primer, don't skip this step. It works well and it does help with retention. Not only retention, actually, I did forget once in a while, and I noticed anytime I haven't used the primer and tested that theory out, the lashes don't even stick as good to the natural lashes. So it makes your life a lot easier. If you're using a primer, your adhesive will bond better to the natural lashes compared to them not having primer. Now, next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and tape up all the eyelashes and isolate only the bottom layer of the natural lashes. It is so important for me to take my time in order to do this because this is where I'm going to place my colorful lashes to get my effect. Now, there's different areas we can place the colorful lashes when we're working with color, but this is, I think, by far one of my favorites, is having it on only the bottom layer to give it a nice effect for our final look. I also realized I really like working with this moon-shaped tweezer in order to isolate the layers. It just was at a really good angle for me to pull those lashes out. Now I'm going to go ahead and map out where I'm going to put the colored lashes. I'm going to isolate the center section first, where I'm going to do my T for my transition. So that's where I'm going to transition my purple and my green. I wanted it to not just be abrupt like purple and then green. I wanted to have a little transition area, and that's why I am applying a little section where I put a T to remind me to transition. Now the rest of it I'm going to label P for purple, G for green,
with the black marker, and then anything else that's in pink is actually gonna be my lengths that I'm gonna use. So I know if it falls under the purple section, I'm gonna use those lengths in purple. If it falls under the green section, I'm gonna use those lengths in green. Sometimes working with colors and lengths, it can get confusing for the mapping, but this is how I do it. Only the colors first, I'll map it out to not make it extra confusing, and then afterwards we will map out the area where I'm going to place the dark or black colors. So here we go, we're going and applying the lashes, we're fanning them out. Again, these are easy to fan lashes, so it makes your life a lot easier to make these fans, and I'm just distributing them, jumping around and applying them. Now what I did is actually on my lash holder, I first grabbed all the purple lashes I'm gonna use. Once I was done with the purples, then I grabbed all the greens. I don't want too many strips of eyelashes onto one lash holder, no matter if I'm putting it on the forehead or next to me, because again, it could get confusing. I want to make it as easy and simple so I can kind of move fast without overthinking it, and that helps with my timing as well. So if you could see the purple ones, the strips that I had grabbed was 10, 11, 12, and 13. Okay, so just those 4 lengths that I'm gonna apply in my purple section. Once I'm done with this area, then I'll remove those purple ones, and then I'll add my green lengths. And for the green lengths, it's gonna be again 13, 14, 15, 16, and where you see that T, that's where my lengths 13 and 14s are mixing with the purple and green to have a fading effect. Now, even when I'm isolating in layers, I still like to use the isolation tweezer to make sure that none of that bottom layer eyelashes are gonna stick together. Our goal is to apply an extension on only one natural eyelash. And don't put anything too big or too heavy in order to weigh down the natural lashes, because again, the most important thing for us is to protect the natural lashes, so we can always work with them and apply extensions on them, because we love extensions. Now I'm checking to see if that's enough purple, and it looks like it was. So now I'm going to go ahead and add my greens onto the rest of the lashes. And you see, this is the part where I talked about the transition area. You see in that area there are some greens and some purples, and I'm randomly mixing them in there as evenly as possible, but randomly. It doesn't have to be one purple, one green, one purple, one green, just as long as they look mixed together so I have a smooth transition. Now remember, with easy fanning or any volume fans, the wider we make the fans, the more fluffier they'll look. The narrower we make the fans, the more dense or darker they look. So with colored lashes, I don't know, I do like an in-between, not a super wide fan and not a super narrow fan, just to really see the color as well as possible without it letting too much light go through. And you can glue the colored lashes on top or underneath or next to the natural lash. For my previous tutorials for Lash Extensions 101, we cover that as long as they're bonded at the base, they are going to last and have good retention. It doesn't matter where you place it. However, for the color effect, if you're able to, if the client's natural eyelashes are not too straight and you can get it to glue it underneath the lash, it will have a little bit more of a pop of color underneath, because that black eyelash is gonna be hiding with the upper layer instead of underneath. Now my goal is to go ahead and apply the colored lashes on almost every single one of the bottom layers. That's how I'm gonna get the effect that I want to get of that pop of color coming underneath the full set. So once I'm done with that full bottom layer, then I can release and add my other colors. But for now, we're just going in and filling it in until we have the colored lashes almost throughout the whole bottom layer. I do check with the mirror to see if my color is distributed evenly and I have nice solid transition between colors for the bottom layer, and that's when I can choose to add 1 or 2 more to complete that even color underneath. And then I'm gonna take the tape out of the rest of the lashes and we're gonna add the rest of them in the black color. Here's kind of what the lashes would look like if they were just the color lashes. Here's a quick little peek so we see what that looks like, but we are going to choose to add the dark ones now to get the effect that we're trying to get. Now you can only do colorful looks, just the same style, and layer out the other layers and continue with the colorful lashes if that's the look that you're looking for. Make sure if you're using tape on the eyelashes, extensions, or natural lashes, you are going to be using the sensitive blue tape, or I don't know if there's any other tape that comes off very easily from lashes, but we want to make sure we do not pull the lashes, okay? This is where you can have horrifying lash stories. You don't want to wax nobody's lashes. So make sure you're using a sensitive tape and taking your time and peeling it off very slowly using two hands to control that. Now I'm going to go ahead and grab my black marker and I'm going to map out the lash line for the dark lashes that I'm going to add. So now I'm going to ignore the pink mapping that I have on there and I'm just going to follow this mapping that I'm doing for the darker upper layer lashes. So this is kind of how I keep my mapping organized for me to be able to move quickly and without retaping the lashes to really really show what I've done so far. And this is a cat eye. We're just going from 12 to 18. She did want it as dramatic as possible. So these are the lengths we ended up with that weren't too long for her natural lashes. And keep in mind, we're making the darker lashes 2 millimeters longer than the colorful lashes that we did in the bottom layer. And this is to create a wispy look and an effect. You don't have to make them longer, but we did it to get a wispier look. Now we're really just going to jump around and add the eyelash extensions all throughout the eye, keeping our isolation in mind. Make sure we're gluing an extension fan on one natural eyelash. We're not gluing anything together to protect the natural lashes, because remember from our Lashes 101, our natural lashes have different growth rates, so we don't want to bond anything together so they're not pulling each other out or causing tension on each other. We don't want to glue on the skin. We want to be about 2 millimeters, 1 to 2 millimeters away from the lash line to, again, protect the hair follicle, the oil glands, and all that good stuff to avoid any negative things with the lashes. So no infections, no irritation or anything like that. Okay, so those are the important things. Don't glue too close to the lash line. Don't glue any eyelashes together, and don't put too big and too heavy eyelash extensions on the natural eyelashes. A little reminder, depending on what adhesive you're using, if you're using a black adhesive or a transparent adhesive, make sure your room conditions are set to where your adhesive is going to work with you. One thing I do remember when I was doing this set is I love using the transparent adhesive with the colored lashes because it doesn't add extra black. It lets the color be as bright as possible. But my room condition was not humid enough, so that adhesive wasn't working well for me, and I had to switch to my regular black adhesive. So make sure you have some tools to work with. Again, you don't want to be held up with the client if you have a client, but also know what adhesives work well for your conditions, and make sure you're controlling your room temperature and humidity as you're going to make your life easier, so everything's working well with you. Like I said, if you guys want more of the eyelash extensions 101, all the little details of everything, that do's and don'ts and all of that, I have a bunch of videos out there for you. On this tutorial, I'm mainly going to focus on what we did to get this cool glam witch look for this Halloween. Here's a little clip over the video just so you guys can see on the side how I'm fanning out these easy fanning lashes to get my fans, in case you guys were wondering. Now it looks like we're about done. We have an extension on almost every single one of the natural lashes, and we're just gonna check with the mirror just to make sure that it looks nice and even, and this kind of helps to see what they would look like when her eyes were open, and we can wrap up. Now we're going to check to make sure that nothing is stuck underneath the tape before we remove the under eye patches and tape. So always make sure to do that. Again, no matter how experienced you are, sometimes things stick and you don't want to pull any of the lashes. You want your client to be as comfortable as possible. I also like to give it a nice brush at the end, kind of trying to put them how they would look when the client is going to brush them. And if I see any little hairs that are sticking out or out of line, that's when I would question it, remove it, replace it to make sure that that's not going to happen. Because a lot of clients will notice that one hair that's out of place, and that could be the reason for them not to come back to you. So take your time, take extra 5 minutes and double check to make sure that all the lashes are where you want them to be. Well, here's the final look. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and here are some fun Halloween inspo looks. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Have an awesome day. Bye.